do, 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 do. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. Haha, 1, 2, ho, ho. Yep, I'm working. All right. What do you mean you can't open the page? Oh, do you know why? Haha. Get out of here. Think it's only the two of you, don't worry. Going live. Come on. Why are you being so slow tonight? Admit. Hey, 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 hey. All right.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. I guess if your favorite person in the world shows up, I'm not supposed to let him in.
Which one? Oh, my buddy?
Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably number one. I got a couple close seconds. I think Russ Lambert is fairly close.
Yeah. But I'm like, it's your meeting. I'm just doing what you said. So now I'm making people sit in the waiting room. I got Dave Walker and Wayne Palmer there right now, but
So what happened with Division 6? Or you can just tell me later.
I told them they're going to have to wait until their next election. You don't call me at 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday and tell me you got a 9:00 set or Sunday morning.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, I just said, no, I can't do it because I can't trigger it so that every member has 24 hours like everybody else. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, so I just told them they got to wait till November. The one today, the vice today, I told them the same thing. You're going to have to wait until you can do your flotilla one that you crammed down my throat Friday because I was able to launch it. But your vice one, you're going to have to wait until next month. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So Rick sent the notice out, and that then we can absolutely positively verify that there's no funny stuff with the transfer.
Right, I mean,
Charlie was saying that the signatures don't. He goes, it looks kind of suspicious. So
Mama's gonna be the one to look at everything and decide whether it's legitimate or not.
right. So
It's not trying to stuff it through and get Chris Mather to make a mistake while nobody's looking.
right. So anyway, so that's the latest. Mike will be on to give here. How long are you going to take?
I was figuring that we let Mike go first. I mean, I think Patrick and Virgil are going to stop in and be introduced.
Mike said his is going to be about an hour, maybe a little bit more. I mean, when he does it for breakout rooms, he goes, I never get past assignment to duty. So I take my hour and that's it. So depending on how many questions we have.
Well, yeah, mine's the same thing. I can show you, say, look at all those forms that I gave you. Any questions? But there's a lot of stuff I want him to know about. So,
right.
I told Charlie to just let Mike go first, and then, whether I have an hour and 15 or 45 or whatever,
right.
we'll make it work.
Why do I have Eddie Borgadwa on?
Borgwart.
Yeah. Why is he on this call?
I don't know. He's got something to do with Division 12. I don't know who are the electeds for 12.
He's the flotilla commander. I didn't think that.
Who are the electees for Division 12? Because I honestly don't know. I'm thinking Borgwart might be one of them. I don't know.
Oh, he's the vice. He's the
Okay.
vice. Okay, that's right. He's also involved in the 12
I know.
forward thing, so that's where the name popped up.
Yeah, right.
All right. I might as well let him
Let him in.
in.
Let him in. I'll play nice
Okay.
for a while.
All right. Joining. Ding, ding, ding. All right. So now I can go back over here. Finish one.
No, we got to get everybody to put their own names on their screens.
Yeah. What am I doing? I want to go to live. Damn it. Take me there. That's what I want. Voila. Stream. That's excellent. No, go back.
Hello, good evening, sir,
Hello.
madam.
How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Hello, ma'am.
Hey,
Hello. Hello, Commodore.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me get my. What did I set this at?
trying to get my lighting right here.
Maybe I won't have the problem tonight. Yeah, let's see. There's that one.
Does Ron Haker needs to be here tonight?
Say that again. Whoop.
Oh.
Say that again, Eddie.
Yes. Does Ron Haker needs to be here tonight?
Uh,
I don't believe he's elected for next year, is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So should I? Well, he asked me if you want me. So I don't need to send an invitation to join us tonight, correct? Unless he wants to.
no, You don't actually. Yeah, it's just whoever was on the invite list tonight.
Okay. Perfect. I'll let him know right now. Thank you.
Okay, here comes Virgil.
Oh, dear.
Uh-oh, look out. All right, that snow stuff, I don't know about living in that snow climate stuff,
Well, and they got fires.
yeah. These people that live up in that part of the country, I don't know about them. It's no fun if he doesn't turn his camera on to make fun of it. He hates me now. He didn't turn his camera or his mic on.
He will.
Mhm. And
There's Virgil. Hi.
Where's he at? Oh, hi, Virgil.
Hello,
How are you?
not too bad.
Good. Where's Patrick?
He'll be on shortly.
Oh, you got the upstairs tonight? You're putting him downstairs?
I'm downstairs.
No, you're downstairs. Oh, should I let Mr. Geiger in? Nah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Good evening. Anyone here?
There he is. I can hear you, but I don't see other than a picture
There's
of
no
you.
moving picture.
I'm just not very active today.
What, you still got your pajamas on or what?
There we go.
He started
Oh,
playing
he's
around
out.
with
Okay.
Oh, Virgil, how you doing?
Real good.
We got Division 9 here already. Willem and David.
How you doing, sir?
Looks like Wayne Palmer has changed his name.
Either that or he sent the boss in to attend the meeting.
So, Chris, how do I get rid of this virtual background?
You go undo it the same way you did it, only you click on the black box that says none. So go to your settings, go to backgrounds. Actually, I think if there's a little arrow by the camera icon on the screen.
Yeah, I'm on that virtual background. I unclick that or what?
You put it on none.
General,
I gotta look. What does it say? Choose virtual background.
none. There we go.
Yeah, none. So what happened to? All right, I'll let Norm in. Oh. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Norm.
Hello,
And Norm,
Hello.
David.
how you doing?
Okay.
Good.
We can leave our mics on for a little while until we get ready to start.
Yeah.
So are you passing out worms?
What?
Early bird catches the worms? Never
Oh.
mind.
I got him. I collected
Okay,
them.
good.
Norm, don't give up your day job.
You don't think I'll make it on the comedian circuit?
Oh, there's Holly.
You're muted, Holly.
I'm on my wife's computer. My grandson spilled a Coke on mine, so you can imagine what happened.
Your new laptop.
So I got a feeling I'm going to Office Depot tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tonight, if you want to just click on the little blue box up in the upper corner of your window, you can rename yourself, and it
Let's
won't
see.
be any permanent changes to the computer. It can be undone as soon as we get done here.
Okay.
You should see the option to mute or unmute, and then there's three little buttons, three little dots next to that.
Yeah.
Okay, click on the three dots.
Okay.
Then you should get a drop down, and one of the choices should be rename.
Okay. Well, all it did was blow my picture up.
Okay.
Let's see. What does that do?
Oh, I can do it. I just did it for you, Wayne.
Oh, thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it.
I didn't know I could do that.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get this back to where it was. I don't know. I don't know how to use her computer. It's different from mine.
Chris is the all-powerful Oz.
Wow.
So if it still says Wayne tomorrow, tell Holly to call Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
And late as always, the Mr. Rick Ebel. Just
The
yeah,
late Rick Ebel.
late as always.
The late Rick Ebel. Yeah.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Leslie.
Hey,
Maurice
Rick.
and
Hi there, Norm. Virgil, nice to see you.
You too.
what? No
There's
nice words.
Wayne.
For me?
David Walker.
No nice words for me.
Willem.
What you did to me this weekend?
Oh, dang.
Come on, come on.
Tough crowd.
No kind words, sir. It wasn't my fault. Charlie, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Rick?
Doing good.
Haven't talked to you for 20 minutes.
Has it been that long?
Hi, Maurice.
Maurice, how are you?
Maurice.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Eddie, you're in the dark, Eddie.
You can come out of the closet.
Who is David B? All right.
There you are, Eddie.
There may go.
Hi, Eddie.
And to answer your question, sir, the second mouse gets the cheese.
You're absolutely
That's true.
correct.
That's
Right.
true.
First one gets the trap, the second one gets the cheese.
Right.
I guess that would be Dave Brown.
Okay.
Dave Brown turned into Mike Flamingo.
Hey, Mike.
Well,
Hocus pocus.
Okay, so far Eddie's got the best joke. All right.
All right.
My apologies. I just got home, but my understanding was only the first two meetings we were in Trops.
Yeah, that's what I understood too, but I'm I left my uniform here just for that reason. Uh-oh.
Anybody get a good deal on Amazon's special days?
No, I was too busy going down up to San Jose and then back down.
Let me show you something. This is a lithium car charging battery,
Yes.
right? Okay. It was $109. I was going to buy it on the 12th, and I saw that the sale is on 13th. $59.
That's a heck of a deal.
Wow. With a fantastic hard case. I couldn't believe it. I would have really kicked myself if I would have bought it the day before.
Good evening, Boz.
Good evening, Charlie. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Boz.
Hey, boss.
And Mary Jo, how are you? You're muted.
You're muted.
Good evening, everybody. Sal Gonzalez joining.
Hey, Sal.
There, now.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Excellent.
And Sal.
Good evening. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bill.
Evening, Charlie.
And Chaffee's coming on board.
Dave Walker just got very small. Good evening, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
And so Charlie, do you have your attendees list open? Who all are we missing? A bunch.
Well, let's see. We've nobody yet from Division 4. Alex Donner, Jim Pearson. I don't see either one of them.
No.
I don't.
I'll send him a text.
I don't see anybody from Division 7 either.
I just sent both of them a text.
Okay.
12 is here. Maurice and Eddie are both here. 5 is here, both of them. 6, we have Wayne, and Mark Forster's working, so he's not going to be here. I don't see anybody from 11 yet. Or we don't have anybody from 1 either, so we're still missing quite a few.
Right. Now, Bill, did Rod leave already, or does he leave for Florida next week?
No, he left already, but he should be there now.
Okay.
So he's planning on being online.
Okay.
Far as I
Good.
know.
Because if he catches Mr. Big Fish, he has to throw him back. 'Cause I have dibs on him.
Okay.
Not allowed to keep him.
Well, I'm going to be down there Wednesday, so I'll pass the word.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. We have Paul Switek from Division 10 coming in. Alex, Mr. Carver. Oh,
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
There's Rod coming on.
yeah, I see that.
Okay, Charlie, I just got a text from Rudy Cortez. He is looking for the link. He should be on in just a minute. Aaron Todd also will be on in a minute. And I just sent a text to Jim Pearson.
Good evening, Commodore Johnson.
Howdy, how you doing?
Good. I think we're still missing 3 flotilla commanders or 3 division commanders.
Gary Peterson.
I've got messages into both Ziegler and Saba for 11.
Okay. And Matt Smith, is he here yet?
No.
Commodore Matt said that he's going to be just a couple minutes late. He just sent me an email.
Okay.
Driving somewhere.
Not sure if is Paul Saba going to make it, or is he still fighting fires?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard from him this week. I know he's been out there the last 3, so.
Last I heard, he's still out there.
All right, I think we've got every.
Charlie, Charlie, I just got a text from Aaron. He said he's waiting for the host to let him in.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Every division is represented, so we're going to start. And I'd like to start off with making a few introductions. This is our third session of DELA. We've had introductions of most people. There's just a few more that I'd like to do this evening. First of all, I'd like to introduce my administrative aide, Mary Jo Alex. Mary Jo is a member of Division 10, and she's our current administrative aide serving under Commodore Harshfield. And I'm delighted that she's agreed to return for another year. Mary Jo is in the Arizona Band Flotilla, and she's also certified as boat crew, comms, and instructor. And she's already working on appointment certificates that will be issued at the end of the year. And we will be putting more on her plate as we discover the new normal after COVID. You can expect to see her at our board and staff meetings, whether in person or virtual. And I never did ask her what instrument she plays in the band. Mary Jo, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I play the flute.
The flute, okay.
Yeah. And actually it's something, I had played clarinet whenever I was younger and in school, but I always wanted to play the flute. So whenever we started this band up, I went and rented a flute to see if I would really like it, and have since turned the rental in and purchased my own flute. So yes, I'm enjoying it. And I also work with the Coast Guard Academy recruiting students as well.
Awesome. Glad to have you on board for another year.
My pleasure.
Next, I'd like to introduce our DSO of Finance, Virgil Campbell, who is returning from last year. Anybody that has been around a while knows who Virgil is. Virgil, would you like to say a few words?
We're here to help you people. Finance reports are very important, and this year now we're requiring all flotillas submit finance reports too. And I have to say that I'm going to be working with some of them because what they're sending is not a finance report, but we're here to help you.
Thank you, Virgil. Glad to have you on board. And next up is our DSO Secretary of Records, who's sharing his screen with Virgil. Patrick Porter.
How you doing, Charlie? Good to see y'all. Yeah, same as Virgil was talking about. Any reports or anything that need that you have questions on or need to ask, let me know. I'll do everything I can to get the information to you as quickly as I possibly can.
Thank you, Patrick. Next, I'd like to introduce our new incoming DSO legal, Bill Freed. Bill's a member of Division 1. Bill, would you like to say a few words? You're muted, Bill.
Just happy to be on board. I appreciate the appointment. Mike's kind of set a high bar, but I've got a lot to learn, but I'm ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, you got a great mentor. Glad to have you on board. Is John Ross with us yet? I know he's planning on joining us. We can introduce him later.
No, I'm here.
John, where are you? There you are. Okay.
The picture's up there somewhere too, I think.
Yeah, you just popped up. I got you now.
Okay.
So John is he's returning as our sector coordinator for LA Long Beach, and he's also going to be our DSO emergency management this year for 2021. John, do you have anything to say?
Well, I just wanted to say hi and thanks. I'm glad to be returning for another year. I get a little dissertation lined up to issue today, but I think I'll just go to the short version of it. And that is, I'm glad to be on board. I'm going to be doing the DSO EM also, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Other than that, I'm ready to go.
Thank you very much. And Mike Fulgrim, is he with us this evening? Mike is returning as our sector coordinator for San Diego. If he pops in a little bit later, we'll introduce him as well. That's all the introductions I have. So I'd like to turn it over now to our current DSO legal, Commodore Mike Johnson. And Mike's going to talk about some legal issues.
Okay, thanks very much, Charlie. I appreciate it. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. My picture's there. Here,
Hold on.
My picture's not showing up. How about now? Do I show up anywhere? Nope.
Showing your name. Oh, there you.
Do
There
I
you
show
are.
up?
Yes,
I'm
you're there.
yeah.
Now your voice is gone.
My back?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. Well, I put this workshop on pretty much every year since I've been DSOLP in many different years over the span of my 25-year career in the auxiliary. And typically I never get through the whole presentation that I have. So, and that may be the case again tonight because there's so much to cover. But that's all right. Since this is primarily geared toward auxiliary elected leaders, I wanted to go over some of the duties that you have as an auxiliary elected leader. First of all members are personally responsible for being familiar with and adhering to Coast Guard and auxiliary rules and procedures. But elected and appointed leaders must be thoroughly familiar with the primary policy manuals that affect auxiliary members and their activities. And those are obviously the auxiliary manual is number one. The operations policy manual is another. And something that I haven't mentioned in the past is the district finance guide. Okay. Oh, thanks for putting that up. The district finance guide. And that's critical that you take a look at that. It is or will soon be posted on the district website. And it's been there every year. It's been updated for this coming year. And I strongly encourage you and your finance officers and your flotilla commanders and their finance officers to take a look at that manual and the finance guide. It's fairly lengthy, but it reads pretty quickly. So it'd be a good thing for them to do that. It'll keep you out of trouble. So another thing is that you have to pass new information down the chain. Anything that you get that's new information about something that's happened or is coming up, anything like that, it's your responsibility to pass that down the chain. And if you get something from a flotilla that needs to be passed up the chain, you make sure you get that done. So, and that has to be done quickly and efficiently. So please don't forget that. Next slide. Hello. Next slide. Okay. We're first going to talk about disciplinary actions. Unfortunately, in the auxiliary, we do have disciplinary actions, and it seemed like the last 3 years or so, we've had a tremendous number of them in this district, and that's very unfortunate because it's just not a good way to do business. So what you need to do again is focus on Chapter 3 of the Auxiliary Manual, in particular Section F through K. For discrimination or harassment claims, those are found in Chapter 7 of the Auxiliary Manual. You need to make sure you follow all of the rules and procedures that are in that manual in those areas so that things don't get hosed up. Now, any member of Coast Guard forces can request a preliminary investigation. Used to be a lot of people called them complaints. I'm going to file a complaint. Well, no, that's not what you do. You file a request for a preliminary investigation. Those can be oral. They're better off if they're in writing, and they go to the senior unit elected leader, depending on who it is that is being complained about. Okay, the preliminary investigation request, it has to be clear in its intent and its substance. For example, you need to be able to say this is what this person did, and this is what it violates in a policy. What policy of the auxiliary manual or any other manual or any Coast Guard requirement that it violates. That's critical. And you got to, the complaint or the preliminary investigation request has to be pretty specific so that somebody can decide what to do with it. Okay, go next. Whoa. Okay, first of all, it's important to realize that auxiliaries, even though we're part of Coast Guard forces, we are not subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We're only subject to various administrative actions, including loss of qualifications, suspension from membership, suspension from an office, from a program, or in the worst case, disenrollment. All right, next. Okay, where are these requests supposed to be sent? If the matter involves a flotilla staff officer or a flotilla member, the request for investigation should go to the flotilla commander and only the flotilla commander. Matters that involve staff officers at the division level or flotilla elected leaders, that'd be flotilla commander or vice commander, those requests go to the division commander. And if it involves a division elected officer, it would go to the district captain. Okay. I think that's pretty clear. There's all kinds of other levels, but I'm not going to go over those because they very seldom show up in matters involving us. And you can find all those in chapter 3, F2A of the auxiliary manual. Okay. Now, if you get a request for investigation, you must immediately notify the subject of the request for the investigation and provide the grounds for the request, the source of the request, the right to address in writing the investigator prior to any report to the a report by the investigator to the elected leader, and what the elected leader is planning to do following that. Additionally, there's other notifications that are required as the process goes on. And you'll just, I'm not going to go through all those. We'll be here all day. Okay. When a request for investigation comes in, the leader has 7 days from the date he or she receives a request for investigation to determine whether it's appropriate. Okay. And that's a hard time, 7 days. For example, sometimes, in many cases, there's no need for an investigation. I just recently had someone not send it to me, but as DSOLP, I get involved in just about every one of these. And it was my opinion that it really didn't need to be investigated. The matter didn't need that. It could be taken care of very easily and very quickly without having to go through all this hoopla. Now, a Coast Guard officer, and this does happen occasionally, but a Coast Guard active duty officer or a reservist can initiate a request for investigation based on firsthand observation. And in those cases, they typically go directly to the director. They may go to a different level, but then the director can decide where those should be sent. But please understand that not everything has to go to investigation. If you have a simple matter like, let's say, even in a sexual harassment case, somebody says, "Hey, I'd like to go out on a date with you," and you say, "No, I don't want to do that." Okay, that's not sexual harassment. If they ask a second time, maybe it is. Okay, but still, you can just say, "Hey, look, I don't want to go out with you. Let's end this right now. Let's not make this go further." And that might be the end of it. So, and that can happen with a lot of things. Uniform violations. Okay. You can see right here on this, these are infractions that warrant an informal disciplinary action. There's formal and there's informal discipline. But flagrant or repeated uniform or grooming violations. What if it's the first time? Is that a violation if they're wearing the wrong uniform? Sure it is. But you can just talk to the person and say, hey, look, take them aside. Anytime you're talking to somebody like this about a violation, don't do it publicly. Take them aside and say, hey, look, you know, you're not supposed to wear pink shoes with the tropical blue uniform, you know, whatever it is. But just talk to them and avoid all these disciplinary matters. Okay, these are the infractions, some of the infractions. There's more on the next sheet. I'm not going to read all these to you. You can find those in the auxiliary manual under chapter 3, and every one of these is exactly typed in as indicated in the auxiliary manual. So those are the informal. Now for formal, okay, these are also outlined in the auxiliary manual, so we don't need to go through every one of these. But there's a lot of them, like exerting a disruptive influence upon the conduct of auxiliary business to a greater degree than that warranting informal disciplinary action. Here's some more. Here's one that on number H, misrepresenting Coast Guard authority, rank, government title, or auxiliary position or status, either implied or by design. I had one like that where somebody wore an a Coast Guard uniform with the gold on the shoulders to a flotilla meeting. And the person was not in the Coast Guard. They were an auxiliarist. So, you know, all of these things do happen and are cause for possible, you know, problems for those people. Okay, next. I think we got those. Okay, if after receiving the request for investigation, if the leader determines that no investigation is warranted, then what you need to do is notify the director via the chain of communication and do it in writing. Email is fine, that you determined that no investigation is warranted in this case. Okay. If the director concurs with that, the leader then notifies all those who were initially involved of the investigation of such determination. And who would that be? Obviously, it's the person filing the request, and it's the subject of the investigation. Need to know. Okay, that's it. We in the auxiliary have a right of privacy. Okay, and it's absolutely vital that you don't communicate anything about an investigation to anybody except up the chain and to the person that's being is the subject of the investigation. If you do, if you tell some other member that, hey, guess what, Sam's got a complaint against him, you know, if you do that, you will be subject to, you know, some of this stuff, and you don't want to do that. Okay, just remember that. Keep it quiet before an investigation starts, after it's underway, and even after it's completed and the discipline is handed out. You do not discuss it with anybody other than perhaps the director, the DSOLP, and you know, the two parties that were involved in it, the one who filed the request and the subject. Okay. Next. On the other hand, if you determine that a violation occurred, then the leader is required to notify in writing everyone who were initially notified of the investigation and shall proceed with the investigation. Okay. And this has to be done within 5 days of determining that an investigation should go forward and there was a violation of policy, or you believe there was one. Okay. Obviously, you don't know for sure until the investigation's completed. At the same time, you need to appoint an investigator, and you do that with a written convening order. Okay. I don't have one up here because it's fairly long, what you need to put in there, but you can, before you do this, you should contact the DSOLP and we'll provide you with the appropriate format for that. It's actually all in the Coast Guard Investigations Manual. I don't expect you will download that. Most of it you don't use, but there is in there a convening order that can be used. Okay. Now, we have this year trained some investigators, some people who can be investigators. And this is the list. Okay. Tom Jacobsmeyer, Rodney Donohue, William Freed, Chris Harshfield, Rudy Lopez, Maurice Scott, Al Verdi, and Robert Salas. These people have been trained and they have been qualified and are highly recommended that you use those people. Now, you don't have to use them. You can appoint anybody you want to be an investigator, but you're going to have problems if you do that. I can promise you. It's really not the easiest thing to do to conduct a legal and proper investigation under the auxiliary manual. So, but these people have been through a class. They've had some practical training, and they're ready to go. So, if you have one and you feel that you need to appoint an investigator, I would recommend you use one of those people. Now, I can't promise you that the first one you pick is going to say, yes, I can do it. Okay. But one of those surely will be able to. Okay. Now, at that point, wait a minute, back up. You're pretty much done for a while. Usually you're going to give the investigator 60 days to complete the report. Okay. And before the report is submitted to you, the subject of the report is entitled to provide a written statement to the investigator as to what that person feels happened and why they should not be disciplined for what happened. They can do that, and most of them do submit something. And the investigator will look at it, give it whatever weight they feel is appropriate, and then write up the investigation report. So the next thing that's going to happen is you may get some questions from the investigator. The investigator may call the legal officer. And by the way, that's the DSOLP. No ADSOs can get involved in this. So what you need to do then is read the report and determine, the report will say, we'll make a recommendation, okay, that the person, they'll say, hey, this person violated whatever it was, and here is what I think they should, the penalty should be. But it's not up to them to make that decision. They're just making a recommendation to you. So you need to read the report and determine if there is a violation and what kind of discipline would be the most appropriate. Informal discipline would be as simple as a counseling session, one-on-one by the leader and the member. Counsel them. It could be suspension of web privileges if it has something to do with web pages, websites, or a letter of caution if it's a little more serious. And those can be written by the leader and sent out. If it's bad stuff and there's a recommendation that formal discipline be imposed, what you do then is notify the director and district commodore in writing with the recommendation to commence formal disciplinary action. A copy of that letter, but not the report, not the investigation report or any of the documents that go along with that, have to be sent to the subject of the investigation. Okay, does anybody have any questions about any of this so far? Okay, let's move on. Okay, assignment to duty is something that's near and dear to my heart. Auxiliaries do have certain benefits that are afforded to them by Congress and by the commandant through his commandant instructions These include all of the policy manuals that apply to members of the auxiliary. And you have these benefits, including medical coverage, reimbursement for personal property loss, educational and survivor benefits, and probably the most important is insulation from personal liability for injury or damage to third parties person to the third party's person or their property. Okay, but you only have that if you follow the rules, and that is being assigned to duty. Go ahead, next slide. So the benefits will be given to you by the Coast Guard and government protection only when you're qualified to do what you're going to do, when you're properly assigned to duty, when acting within the scope of your employment, and you need to meet all three of these. So this is probably the single most misunderstood concept that auxiliary legal officers have to deal with, and it's a very simple concept. The problem is too many members either try to get around it or they simply ignore it. The bottom line is that members have to conform to the minimum rules and procedures established by the commandant. These are for the most part found in the auxiliary manual and the operations policy manual, but there are other policy manuals as well. Simply put, to have the best chance of being covered by the federal government in the event of some incident, you must be qualified to do what you're doing. In other words, you've been certified by the director's office. You have a letter saying you're certified. You're a boat crew member. You're a vessel examiner. You have a certificate or something like, or a letter. And that not only are you qualified to do it, but you've been properly assigned to do it. And when the incident occurred, you had to have been acting within the scope of what you were assigned to do. Okay, next. Now, saying that, you need to understand that there's no guarantee of coverage. There's a simple and detailed facts and circumstances analysis. And who makes a decision is the Coast Guard for member property claims. For member injury or death, it's the Department of Labor. And for third-party claims, it's the Department of Justice. Now, the Coast Guard, the Coast Guard Authorization Act of 1996, which is the latest, most complete change, doesn't provide an absolute guarantee of coverage. A lot of the small claims, however, can be decided locally. There is a de minimis deal. I can tell you years and years ago, I was out on my boat on a patrol, covered, I was assigned to duty and all that sort of thing. My boat was hit by a very strong wind, a downdraft, and it snapped my antenna. Well, that was 75 whopping bucks. Coast Guard San Diego took care of it. They didn't even bother going anywhere else. It's very small. Now, even though the Department of Labor and the Department of Justice have the primary responsibility to make a decision on some of this stuff, they're going to take into account a Coast Guard coverage recommendation. So the Coast Guard will most likely recommend coverage if it's not something really outrageous, but they can and most likely will conduct their own investigation if it's a significant issue. Okay, next. Okay, I said you had to be qualified to duty and assigned to duty. Qualified to duty. To be qualified to duty, certain auxiliary programs require that a member has completed specific training and that the member has been certified as having completed that training. Certified simply means that you have received something from the DIROC's office indicating that you've completed all requirements of the particular program and are designated as an instructor, a vessel examiner, a crew member, a coxswain, whatever. And you remain certified unless you lose that certification for some reason. For example, if you fail to complete annual maintenance requirements, you lose your certified status. And until you complete the requirements and the director has recertified you, you are not qualified for duty. For example, a vessel examiner fails to complete 5 vessel safety checks in year 1. In year 2, the vessel examiner completes the 2 supervised makeup examinations. The examiner is still not immediately qualified to conduct any more unsupervised examinations until the director has changed the examiner's status to certified. Okay, so you know, we've seen this in the past where you have a like a VE blitz somewhere, and you have some people that need to make up their 2. So they go make up their 2 and then they continue to do more. No, they're not covered. Not a good idea. They should do their 2 and then either sit back and do something else, like bring boaters to you or whatever, to actually conduct any more exams. It can take a while to get the paperwork processed. So if the examiner ignores this, any incident most likely will not be covered. And the examiner will not be given credit for the additional examinations completed while not certified. Now, that being said, some programs do not require certification. You are qualified simply because you're a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. For example, public affairs activities currently does not require any particular training or certification for a member to be qualified. So you can go to a PA event and participate in that as a member of the auxiliary without any kind of a certification. Okay, you still have to be assigned to duty. Okay, next. Well, yeah, TCT, now risk management. You have to be, you know, you have to do that. Okay, now, in addition to being qualified for duty to have coverage, your member must be properly assigned. So the question becomes, who has the authority to assign a member to duty? No one who has assignment to duty authority has the authority to delegate that authority to any other person unless there's a specific exception in the auxiliary manual. Only the Coast Guard can issue orders for vessel and for radio facility patrols. For Sector LA-LB, this means a sector commander or his designee, or maybe it's her designee right now. I'm not sure. For Sector San Diego, this means a sector commander or of Sector San Diego. Okay. Now, the operational policy manual prohibits the movement of an auxiliary facility for auxiliary business without proper orders. This includes boats, aircraft, and radio facilities. And this would include the use of a vessel facility in a parade. If there's a parade and you want to have your boat in that parade, that's fine. The Coast Guard will issue orders for you to attend that parade and use your vessel for that, but probably won't reimburse you for anything. But why is that important if they're not going to reimburse you? Because some things can happen. Here in Phoenix, we had a person who took their boat to a local parade, and while they were driving the boat, or driving the car, towing the boat, a vehicle in front of them flipped a rock up, and it went right through the windshield. Now, they did not have any assignment to duty to do this. And just fortunately, the rock only damaged the windshield. It went right through the windshield, but didn't hurt anybody. Now, the member had insurance, so that was covered. But, you know, if somebody had been hurt or killed, there would have been no coverage from the Coast Guard for that. So make sure your members know that they need to get assignment to duty to use their vessels in parades. Let's see here. Okay, for patrols, the orders are, and which is the assignment to duty, the orders are issued to the coxswain. Okay, Coast Guard does not assign the crew members to duty, just the coxswain. And it's up to the coxswain to properly assign the members to duty. My recommendation is you do that. You remember now with risk management, with our new risk management, you're supposed to contact your crew members several days in advance of the patrol and talk to them about risk management issues. Well, you can also talk to them about assignment to duty. You can say, okay, George is going to be forward watch, Sam's going to be the radio watch, and so forth, and give them actual assignments. It's a good idea to do that before the patrol, before you even leave the house for that, just so there's no question. If you don't do that, just make sure you do it before you get underway and log it in your logbook. And if you change during the day, say somebody who's radio guard is now going to be stern watch, okay, log it in your logbook so you got proof that you've assigned that member to whatever the duty is. Okay. Now there's other activities that we engage in that have assignment to duty requirements, and you could see that on the slide. Members are assigned by the program staff officer or flotilla commander, and so forth. So PA booths, PE classes, member training, vessel exams, RBS program visits. Assignment is by the flotilla commander, the vice flotilla commander, or the FSO for the particular program area. Okay, most of assignment to duty is done at the flotilla level. Okay, next. On the other hand, division commanders and vice commanders only have limited authority because that's not where the work is being done. The work is being done at the flotilla level. Divisions are there only to support flotillas. That's really all a division's for. But the division commanders do not have authority to assign any other division member or non-division members to duty. Okay, you can only assign a vice commander, a staff officer, and a flotilla commander for duty for division matters. Okay, so if you have staff officers, well, before we get to that, vice commander can assign staff officer to duty for division matters. Staff officers have no assignment to duty authority. SOs, division staff officers, have absolutely no authority. Okay, same thing with ADSOs, assistant district staff officers, no assignment to duty authority. It's just the elected leaders and certain people. Now, district staff officers have assignment to duty over their ADSOs, and that's it. Okay, it's pretty limited. Any questions about any of that? I think it's pretty clear, really. Okay, now how do you actually do this? You have to communicate between the member and the flotilla commander, vice commander, or flotilla staff officer. Assignment to duty should always be in writing, and you can use a duty log. Now, a duty log is on our district website. You can use that, but all you need to do is make sure you you enter in writing in some form that so-and-so has been assigned to duty to do this at this location. And the more specific you can be, the better. Okay. Now, on January 1, every division commander and every elected leader should assign all of their staff to duty. You cannot do this before January 1. You can prepare, you can get your letters of appointment ready, okay, but those should not be mailed out until January 1 because you're not authorized to do it until January 1. you don't take office until that day. Now, what some people do, like, well, especially at the district level, is that DSOs will send out a letter appointing them for a 2-year term. You can do that. Division officers can't, because your term is only 1 year. You may not hold that office next year. Okay, so it's a 1-year appointment. Now let's talk about what you should put down in the duty log is who's being assigned, what's being assigned, okay, when and where. And members at the flotilla level should always be asked to go to the FSO. That's their job, is to assign members to duty. Have the FSO do that so that the elected leader doesn't have to do that. All right. Here's some examples of improper assignment. A vessel examiner sends an email to the FSO VE that he is going to conduct a vessel inspection at his neighbor's house. And then he leaves without confirmation. Not assigned to duty. Okay, another example. A VE leaves a voice message on the Vice Flotilla Commander's answering machine, then heads out for the VE blitz. Not assignment to duty. It's not proper. A member of 10-4 just shows up at the boat show. The SOPA is at the booth and puts the member to work. That member would be assigned to duty once they start. I'm sorry. If it's the FSO or the SOPA, they don't have assignment to duty authority, right? If it's the FSO PA, puts a member to work, maybe puts them down in the duty log, they're assigned to duty, but not while they drove to the event. So it's important that you do it in advance of the event. Okay. Now, remember I said there's 3 requirements. The third is that you have to be acting within the scope of your employment, which means that's just basically doing what you've been assigned to do. Performing your duty per policy guidance. So if you're assigned to duty, you will only be covered when you're performing the duty, and in most instances when traveling to and from the duty area. However, if you stray from that, in other words, if you may not be covered, for example, you're traveling home from a radio watch, you get hungry and stop at the roadside fast food restaurant, or even drive a short distance off the direct route, you're probably going to be covered if there's some incident that occurs. But if you drive 20 miles out of the way to have dinner with Granny, you're probably not going to be covered during that time that you're, going way off the track. So you have to be acting within reasonable parameters of the assigned mission. Another thing is you can't be grossly negligent. A good example of that would be operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Okay, if you do that, you're going to be grossly negligent, and you're not going to be covered. Or if you engage in any evidence that, or in any activity that's not authorized. Okay. Detours, cover that. Now, remember, it's a fact-based decision. So the auxiliary member who's wanting coverage has to provide the evidence to support a claim, because in every incident, there's going to be some kind of an investigation. So it's absolutely critical that the auxiliary member has to be prepared to document assignment to duty by retaining documents and indicating that the member was assigned to duty before the incident occurred. Telephone logs, duty rosters, written orders, whatever. So you need to hang on to that stuff. Okay, I have a question from Paul, and he's saying, well, what about the implicit assignment to duty that you find in Chapter 5? Chapter 5 seems to say that as long as you're a member and you're qualified to do what you're doing, if you do that, you're implicitly assigned to duty. So in other words, if you're qualified as a vessel examiner, you can just go out and do vessel exams. All right. And you're covered. It kind of says that. It's not real clear, but I'm trying to be very careful about that. Only because none of this stuff has been tested in court, and you don't want to be the test case. If you can show that you had assignment to duty by an authorized person for you to do this stuff, then that's much better than just going by the manual that says you are implicitly assigned to duty. Okay. So as an auxiliary member, you got to be prepared to document assignment to duty by retaining the documents for a while. You know, you don't know if there's going to be a car crash or, you know, on the way or whatever. And you don't know if somebody's going to file any kind of a complaint against you or against the auxiliary or even against the Coast Guard for whatever activity you did. Hang on to that stuff for a while. Okay. Especially if you know there was some kind of an incident. I'd hang on to it for, you know, 3 or 4 years. So you can prove it if that ever comes up. Okay. So we covered that. Yeah. I just, you know, with Paul's question, it's a good question because I had that same question a couple of years ago when they came out with a more recent version of the manual. But even though the auxiliary manual indicates that by virtue of performing an authorized mission by a qualified member, the member is assigned to duty. It's just safer to have written assignment by a proper officer prior to leaving for the mission. Okay. Now, this comes up quite a bit. What about, you know, a lot of flotilla commanders will assign their members to attend the flotilla meeting, thinking that that way they're going to be covered en route from the house to the flotilla meeting. And even the legal officers for years and years and years have said, go ahead and assign them to duty because maybe it'll help, maybe. And the current version of the manual specifically excludes en route coverage to and from a flotilla meeting. Now, you know, we used to say, okay, well, let's schedule a training session and assign them to the training. That's probably not going to cover it either. You're just simply not covered. That is, the flotilla meeting is considered as your duty station. It's just like the active duty folks. Somebody traveling from their home to the base is not covered if they get into an accident on the way to the meeting or to the base. They're just not covered. That's why we all have insurance, right? So, you know, just make sure you have proper insurance and understand, you know, you're not going to hurt anything by assigning people to duty to attend the flotilla meeting. But you're kind of wasting your time. Yeah.
I had 3 questions. So as far as you can't give a verbal assignment duty over the phone, like a person's out of the location and that person's authorized to give to assignment of duty orders, they can't give it over the phone and say, okay, you're assigned to duty and do the paperwork at their home or office where that person's out in the field. No, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, you can. Assignment to duty only requires a conversation.
Okay.
I'd like to be assigned to duty to go do vessel exams at this place. You can say, okay, you're assigned to duty. It's just a better thing to do is to then jot it down. You know, whoever's doing the assignment to duty, just write it down so you can prove it. You know, otherwise, how are you going to be able to prove that, hey, I just, you know, it's my best friend and, you know, I'm going to write this down now after the fact, after the accident happened. So it's always, it's a good thing to do. It's just a matter of proof is all it is.
Okay. And then my second question was, will the assignment duty orders, do they have to have the duration and uniform type when they do the assignment? How long the assignment duty is authorized for? And then as far as what type of uniform or civilian clothes or whatever you're supposed to wear to do the assignment duty, would that be on there?
No, it doesn't need to be that the time, the time. I mean, you can assign somebody to do. I typically do VEs for all day, or you can say I'm only going to be there for half a day. I'd assign them for all day anyway, because something may happen, they may get held over. And the location where you're gonna do it. The more specific you get, the more good proof you have in case of some incident.
Okay. And my last question was, there was some guidance that came out from DSO LP Bruce Kelton, and I was wondering if is there gonna be some more guidance coming out for us to give to flotilla commanders? This was a handout that was given from DSO LP Bruce Kelton. I think I got this like about maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
I don't know what that was.
Okay, it just has in detail as far as elected leaders' responsibility, assignment to duty, then it has auxiliary contacts and signature of authority.
Oh, yeah. We typically do a memo.
Okay.
That gets put on the national website, and actually, that's a good question. Here they are for the last year, which never got to go out because we didn't have a conference. So I got, a whole mess of them for 2019. I'll be talking to my replacement and ask him if he wants to do his own, or if he wants to just use the one I did in 2019 and send those out to all of you. So
thank you, sir.
Yeah. And they typically get put on the website anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Social functions. For purely social functions, there's no coverage, either en route or during. Now, at the flotilla, once you get to the flotilla meeting, you're covered during the meeting, but not on the way home. Same thing with social functions, just, a party or something like that. You're not covered going to, from, or while you're there. It's just simply not available. Now, what have we done in the past? Have some training at the social function. Then it's not purely social function. And maybe if you can combine it with official business, then maybe you might have coverage. We don't know. There's no case law on any of this stuff. Okay. Oh, I did leave that in there. Okay. This is kind of old. Approval pending status. I don't think I'm going to cover that unless anybody has any questions about what they can do when you're just in AP status. It's all in the book. Everything's covered. So I wasn't going to cover that tonight. Okay, for boat patrols, okay, when you're on an ordered patrol, members are required to follow all legal requirements relating to the patrols. If you don't do that, it could result in not only disciplinary procedures, but also the exposure of all boat crew members to personal liability to third parties, and also loss of Coast Guard benefits. Now, the coxswain who receives the orders is in charge of the patrol and is officially responsible for the crew, the boat, and the patrol mission. If at any time the coxswain feels that the crew and the vessel cannot accomplish the mission with reasonable safety under the existing conditions, the coxswain must immediately abort the patrol. Coxswain has a responsibility to assign each member on board the vessel. This would include crew members and non-crew members. Only certified crew members, currently certified crew members, and crew trainees can be assigned crew duties. And trainees can only do that under the direct supervision of a qualified coxswain crew member or a qualification examiner. Non-crew members can go out on patrols with you as well, but they can't perform crew duties. However, they do have to be assigned some duty, something. For example, if someone is a telecommunications PQS qualified person, they can run the radio and be the radio watch on the boat. That's perfectly fine. AIDS verifiers can be assigned as Payton verification duties to handle Payton verifications. AP members who have not been certified in the boat crew member are considered as trainees on the boat. You can assign them to do things, but again, they need to be properly supervised. Now, what about the facility owner? Who trumps who? Does the coxswain trump the facility owner, or does the facility owner? That's not a good word to use anymore, is it? Trump. Yeah, I guess everybody saw that note from Leslie. I hope.
No.
You want to put that up there again, Leslie?
I can just speak it real fast.
Yeah.
All that Commodore Johnson is talking about today is for normal operations. Be advised, we are still in phase one. He's not giving you permission to go out and do any of the things. He's just explaining how the legal program operates.
Right. Yeah, things are different these days. Okay, facility owners are not in charge of the patrol, but the owner does have the authority to abort the mission if the owner becomes aware of any situation that may adversely affect the safety of the mission. And that's all they can do. They can simply say, hey, this is my boat. I don't think this patrol is being conducted safely. I'm terminating the patrol. They can do that. And the only thing that can be done at that point is to take the boat back to the dock, and the patrol's over, but the coxswain had better report it. Okay. If the coxswain disagrees, then the coxswain better report it, that this facility owner terminated this patrol improperly, and why. Okay. Now, if a unit elected leader or the FSOOP becomes aware of any situation pertaining to the crew or the facility that may adversely affect the safety of the patrol and the mission, they do have the responsibility and the authority to abort the mission. So there is some authority, and there's, again, some responsibility. If you're an FSOOP, you better pay attention to what's going on in the operations program of your flotilla. Okay, next. Again, with more boat patrols. Auxiliary members are not to be considered as guests, including the AP people, approval pending. Those who are not members of the auxiliary or Coast Guard active duty or reservists, whether it's media, family, or otherwise, are not permitted on board an auxiliary facility that's on patrol unless the coxswain first obtains the express written permission of the Coast Guard order issuing authority for that patrol. Obviously, guests can't engage in any boat handling or other patrol duties. Okay. We are now authorized to have, what do you call them? Sea Scouts on board our boats. Boy, I'd be really careful with that. There's what? $1 billion that's been set aside by the bankruptcy court for sexual harassment claims by Boy Scouts from day one. I was a Boy Scout back in the 60s. If I had been sexually harassed or anything like that, I could file a complaint in the federal bankruptcy court today, 50 years later. So if you're going to have kids on your boats, you better read all the requirements of the, what did they call that thing that came out allowing us to deal with the Boy Scouts? Whatever that document is, you better read it. You better have taken the Boy Scout training that's required of you. and so forth before you do that. And you better be very, very careful about what you do, what you say while you're on patrol with those folks. It's a memo of understanding between the Boy Scouts and the auxiliary. Okay, you better look at that. In fact, flotilla commanders are required to take that training. Okay, and so is everybody that's involved in going out with those youngsters. Okay, even I had to take it, you know, as DSOLP. So important that you do that. Crew equipment. Okay, we're still on this same thing. All auxiliary members on board must be in the proper uniforms specified by the coxswain and carry the minimum operable survival equipment specified in the operations policy manual. Coxswain has to verify that all such equipment is on board and on the person, if in the case of stuff that has to be in your SAR vest, and that it's all in working order. Okay, so before you get underway, the coxswain or the authorized radio guard must contact the order issuing authority to activate the patrol orders. Patrol orders are required for every single patrol, and the orders must be on board during the patrol. I bet a lot of people violate that part of it. The orders have to be on the boat. Every vessel patrol has to have proper communications and effective radio guard. And before departing the slip or launch ramp, the name of every single member on board must be given by personal contact landline or net radio, but not the VHF marine radio, which everybody can hear, to the shore-based unit authorized by the Coast Guard order issuing authority to be the radio guard. Okay, out here, you know, in my division, we never talk to the Coast Guard for radio communications. It's just, you can't. So we have our own radio guards and we handle our own communication. But even that communicator has to be able to call the Coast Guard if necessary. They have to have a landline of some kind. That can be a cell phone. Okay. You have to give position and status reports to the radio guard at such intervals as are directed by the Coast Guard. Here in 11 South, that's every 30 minutes, unless operations are something other than normal, and in which case it becomes every 15 minutes, such as when you're towing. And you have to confine the patrol to the mission. Okay, so whatever you told your order issuing authority you were going to do, that's what you do. If you're going to do just a standard patrol, that's fine. That's what the mission is. We're just doing a safety patrol. If you're doing a regatta patrol, that's what you do, is a regatta patrol. Okay, that's pretty simple. All right, one more. Okay, and these are legal requirements as well as policy requirements. The maximum boat crew underway hours are 8 hours when seas are less than 4 feet, 6 hours when seas are over 4 feet. Members must have a rest period of 8 hours before undertaking another patrol. All right, now, what was I going to say? Well, the underway time begins when the crew member reports to the designated place to prepare for the mission. That's when it starts, not when you jump on the boat and go. If you're trailering the boat, and the members are helping you get the boat ready for the patrol out there at the ramp, that's when the 8 hour time starts. It includes time spent accomplishing pre-mission and post-mission vessel checks. Anyone participating in trailering the vessel must also count the time spent trailering both ways on the basis of 1/2 hour for each hour of trailering. Okay, time spent off the boat, for example, at lunch, is counted the same as trailering, 1/2 hour for each hour that you spend. And when you add all that up, it can't be over 8 hours unless you request a waiver from that. And your waiver is going to be given if you're doing something pretty serious, like you're towing a boat in and you got, 15 mile at Lake Powell, you end up getting a tow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 30 miles, 40 miles up the lake. They're going to give you, a waiver. But if you just want to stay out a little longer, or if you just calculate your time, then they may, give you some grief for doing that. And you make sure that you call in when you're back to the dock. Otherwise, they'll come and get you. They may send a helicopter looking for you. Okay. A PLB, you have to have a PLB. Each person has to have one of those on their person. They're issued as soon as you become a crew member or are seriously involved in training. Hypothermia, cold weather gear, all this stuff here comes out of the Auxiliary Operations Policy Manual. We are required to wear hypothermia protective clothing when the water and or air temperatures are below that specified in the Operations Policy Manual. Generally, when the water temperatures are below 60 degrees, you're required to wear anti-exposure coveralls. If they're colder than that, you may have to wear a wetsuit, or not a wetsuit, I'm sorry, a dry suit. We're not issued dry suits, so you better not be going out there if the water is too cold and the air temperature is too cold. You can get a waiver for wearing the coveralls. It's a good idea to request that waiver in advance and just let them know, here's the predicted water temperature and here's the predicted air temperature and weather. And it'd probably be a little easier to get your waiver if you do that in advance rather than when you're right there on the water. Even if you do have a waiver, however, if normally you are required to wear that stuff, you still have to carry it on the boat. Okay. Anybody have any questions about assignment to duty? How are we doing for time, by the way?
It's about 10 after 7, so we ought to be wrapping up before too long.
Okay. Well, let me just cover one more subject real quick, and that's auxiliary agreements. If you fail to comply with the procedures about auxiliary agreement, it results in there is no auxiliary agreement. It's a personal agreement between whoever signs it and the third party. You can risk the loss of any of those benefits that are afforded to us by the government, and the Department of Justice may refuse to indemnify or defend the members if there's some incident. What you need to do is talk, first of all, we don't have to have an agreement, a written agreement. It's not required. And, unless it's some big event, I don't know that it's really important to do that. So don't go asking somebody for a contract, because I can promise you it's going to be loaded with all kinds of provisions that we can't accept, indemnity provisions, and so forth. Don't ask for those or you're going to be sorry. Now, if you are provided with an agreement, you need to send it to the DSO LP, not an ADSO. My policy was send them directly to me. Bruce's, he had them prior review by an ADSO, but he still had to review them and responsible for them. The DSO has to sign off on that before you can sign it and give it to a third party. If you don't follow that, it's your agreement. In other words, if you sign an agreement, give it to the third party, and then say, oh, I was supposed to have this approved by the legal officer, it's too late. You can't do that. I won't approve it. A legal officer shouldn't approve it because you didn't follow the procedures. So you might start all over again, and if you can explain it to the third party, and then you go from there. Now, we don't negotiate your agreements with the third party. But if you have any questions, legal officers more than happy to talk to you about it. But remember, get the agreement signed by the legal officer before you give a copy of it or the original to the third party. Now, they also have to be signed only by the unit's senior elected officer. For flotillas, that's the flotilla commander. For divisions, the division commander. And that cannot be delegated to anybody else in the flotilla or division. The FSO, flotilla staff officers, don't have any authority to sign an auxiliary agreement. Typically, where you'll get those are from a PA event. PA officer wants to sign the agreement. They can't do it. They can negotiate it, provide it to the flotilla commander, and then the flotilla commander can sign it. The only exception is if the senior elected officer is absent and some emergency exists. Okay, then a vice flotilla commander can request the division commander or the district commodore to sign the agreement for the flotilla. Same thing with divisions. You can ask the DCO to sign it for you. Okay, if they're not available and there is an emergency. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. There's, like I say, a lot more legal stuff, but I think that pretty much covers the main items. If you have questions between now and the end of the year, I'll be happy to answer them for you. If not, my replacement will do it. Okay, thank you.
Commodore?
Yeah.
There was a question in the box. Do we have to have a paper copy of patrol orders on the facility, or is the electronic copy that we have in our phones acceptable?
If you can access it quickly, if you need it, I think that's going to be fine.
Okay.
Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Commodore. We've got one more speaker. I'd like to give everybody a 5-minute break. It is now 19:13, so let's be back at 19:18. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone's here. I don't see all the cameras on yet. They're popping up now. So we have one more speaker for this evening. Last and certainly not least, she made me say that, we get to hear from our Auxiliary Affairs Specialist, Leslie Pelosi.
Good evening, everyone. So most of you know me. A couple are just now getting the pleasure for the first time, and so let me get the screen over here where I can see it. Okay, so a couple things about me. One, I retired Navy chief, did 24 years in the Navy. I've been in the auxiliary just over 15 years now, but I'm talking to you tonight as the Auxiliary Affairs Specialist for District 11 Southern Region. Okay, so I'm here to help with the admin, with processing anything you guys have for me, but I am not here in lieu of the chain of leadership. I'm also not, I'm not your buddy in this situation. So you need, if you need something from me, you need to go through the shared mailbox, D11 TAC SMB for shared mailbox, TAC D11S dot, or come on, D11 SMB D11 aux south at uscg.mil. Send it through the proper shared mailbox. Don't send it to my personal, my Leslie Pelosi at Yahoo. Don't send it to Leslie Pelosi at uscg.mil. The reason for the shared mailbox is so that if I'm not available, or the OTO is not available, or the YN is not available, that somebody will still be able to see the transmission and we can be able to get it taken care of. If it goes into one individual's mailbox and they're on leave for a month, then we're out of luck, especially in the situation now. If anything is sitting in Pat Swope's uscg.mil email, she hasn't seen it in over 6 months. So that's what the shared mailbox is there for. Don't contact me via text or my personal email unless, say, we're going on patrol together. Then that's a different animal. I'm wearing my Coast Guard auxiliary hat at that time. Okay, I just want to echo something that Commodore Johnson said. Use the auxiliary manual. Don't just rely on your buddy, your friend, the guy before you said, this is the way we do it. A lot of times there's misinformation. I just heard something that only that a division had to have a certain number of flotillas to stay active because somebody told them that. Well, that went away over 10 years ago. So we need to stay current with the auxiliary manual. Use your chain of leadership, use the auxiliary manual. Now, I asked Rick to forward you a bunch of stuff today. One of the things that I do, not only for myself to try and help keep my paperwork straight, but hopefully to send some information down to you guys, is the activity list. Has everybody seen the activity list? Okay, I spend a lot of time on that. With those AP folks, I have to literally go into each individual's record and look at everything they have or have not done. So again, I do it for all of us. It'd be great if we can get people to actually do their core training, to do their BQC2 courses, do their boating safety course and get them out of AP like shortly after they join, rather than when you find out that you want them to run for office in a week and a half, and now all of a sudden you're going to have them do 7 courses. Applications at the moment, the way we're processing new member applications is the applicant fills out the 7001 new member application. We need pages 1 through 5 of the application. Let me see if I can pull one up and get my screen up. under COVID restrictions, we are not getting together with the members in person. We are doing a Zoom type call, Zoom, GoToMeeting, whatever electronic call. The flotilla commander and the HR is supposed to go through the application with the member, do the interview portion, make sure that the member has filled in all the appropriate blocks. Member or applicant needs to sign. Hang on, let me share my screen. Okay, maybe not. Okay. On page 2 of the application, there are, in section 7, there are questions that need to be answered. Okay. A bunch of applications have been rejected for not having those questions answered, but that's something that I'll kick it back if it's not there. Applicant needs to sign on the bottom of page 2, and then the applicant signs at the bottom of page 5. Applicant then takes his or her application, a birth certificate or passport, and a DD-214 or court documents or whatever else is appropriate, puts it in an envelope and sends it to me at the office. That's it. They don't drag it over to their friend who's the fingerprint tech. We don't do that anymore. They don't take it to the flotilla commander or the HR, and don't email it around thinking that by not putting a social security number on it, you're skirting the PII requirements. Just do us a favor, have the applicant send the packet directly to me. The flotilla commander and the HR that were involved in the interview send an email to the office saying, we talked to Bob Smith and we accept him into our flotilla. That's it. That's all I need for a signature. I'm going to use that in lieu of your signature to put that person in your flotilla. Your finance officer should be collecting dues from that member at the soonest possible, at the soonest opportunity. Now, as you'll see at the top of the activity list, as soon as I get an application, I'll list it on there and try and give you some sort of an indication as to what the status is. If they've got a member number, then obviously we've put them in the auxiliary. If it says something vague like under review, we're either waiting for information from them or something came up on a text check or on their DD-214 or whatever it is, you have no need to know. Flotilla commander has no need to know. Nobody besides me, the director, and the applicant is going to know what's going on. The only thing I will tell you is it's in process, or it's in applicant's hands. Don't ask. It's as Commodore Johnson was saying, there's privacy issues, and if there's not a need to know, you're not going to know. Okay, some other forms I'm going to need from folks. 7007. That's your initial. That's your come on, your roster for your I don't know. Chris, can you give me control?
Staff officers.
Right. Yeah, it's your officer assignment sheet. Okay, you're going to give me one of those at the beginning of the year, as soon as possible after you've determined who your staff is. And let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. Okay, are you seeing the 7007 on my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a one-time deal at the beginning of the year. Okay. You make notes you check the appropriate block as to whether it's division level or flotilla level, and you give me the information, fill all this in. That's a one-time shot for the year. Okay. Any changes subsequent to that, don't keep sending me a whole new one and just crossing out names and any of that. Any changes, you go to the 7006. Change of officer report. Okay. Okay, again, division, flotilla, member ID of the person who is filling the office, title of office being filled, office being vacated, signature of unit leader. If a member transfers out of your flotilla or your unit, all of his or her offices is automatically going to be vacated. So if you're refilling that office, send me a 7006 with the name of the person that's going to be assuming the position.
Leslie?
Yes.
If I may, can we go back to the 7007?
We can.
Just want to remind all of the division commanders that none of these 7007s will be posted into Oxdata until they have been reviewed by the incoming chief of staff. Okay, so if there are issues, I will let you know what they are, and we'll see what we can do with them. But Leslie will not enter these into Oxdata until I have initialed them, and which will let her know it's okay.
But in the interest of keeping the paper all coming to where it needs to come, I think I've talked to you and Charlie about this. Let's just have everything still come to the shared mailbox. And then I will send it for review. And if there's a problem, you'll hear about it.
Yep, okay. We're good.
And we will be looking at whether folks are qualified to hold the offices. The chief of staff and the Commodore, they'll be the ones to figure out if somebody has too many offices. I'm staying out of all that, but we will look at things such as an elected officer at any level cannot be a finance officer at any level. That's a fairly recent addition. Same thing with with MAs, I believe. Elected officers and MAs cannot cannot hold concurrent office. Okay. So yeah, so the 7007, that's a one-time good deal. Get it in as soon as you are able to get your staff set up. 7006, as I mentioned, that is for a change of an officer. Okay. If your member is not going to be transferring out of your flotilla, but they're just no longer going to do that office, that's fine. Then send one in saying either somebody else is taking it or you're leaving the office vacant. You will just no longer have that person doing it. So, okay, let me see what I had next. 7025, that's your end of year financial report. That's more Virgil's area than mine. I just wanted to mention it, and I did send you a copy of it. One thing that you may want to look at is a lot of flotillas tend to list items such as a flag or a $15 notepad that got passed down. Work with your finance officers and your DSO finance as appropriate to clean those reports up a little bit. Let me find, okay, getting to the good stuff here. 7035s. Okay, this is your change of member status report. Right now, or change of member status request form, okay? Right now, everybody who has not paid dues to their flotilla commander should already have started filling it, should already have filled out one of these forms and sent it to the member, okay? Last name, first name, member ID. You owe X amount of dollars for year so-and-so, you owe X amount of dollars, and the flotilla commander signs it. and you sign date of notice, okay? Section 2, if member chooses to disenroll, he or she can check that block. And if he wants to state reasons, that's fine. If he doesn't, you know, he can just write, I desire to disenroll. It helps the HR folks be able to figure out what we need to improve if they do the, if they give us some reasons, something to work with. Anyway, if member signs in that block in section 2, whether they want to disenroll or whether they're ready to retire, then if we get their signature in that block or an email in lieu of this 7035, if we get an email saying, I got my 7035, I'm not going to pay dues, please retire me, and I get those two pieces together, I will take that signature from the email and make it work for this form. Section 3, the flotilla commander is going to say recommend enrollment, disenrollment or retirement effective so-and-so, and flotilla commander signs it and forwards it to the shared mailbox. Okay. At this time of year, since we're mainly just working on disenrolls and for dues, I generally just work with the DSO HR, and unless there's something like significant that I think that he or she needs to know about, then we're okay without the DSO HR seeing it. But I keep DSO HR copied, you know, infoed on what's going on through the activity list. So, okay, so that was if member signs it and sends it back, then I can disenroll them that day, or if they necessarily want to be in until December 31st and they write that on the form or some other specific date, then they can do that. If they do not return this, if we haven't heard from member within 30 days, then section 3 is completed by the flotilla commander. Okay, so I'm going to send this to somebody in my flotilla. I'm flotilla commander for the moment. Section 1, I'm going to send out saying, Joe Smith, you owe $70, you know, or you will be disenrolled. Okay. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to date it 1st of October. I never hear from Joe Smith. 1st of November, I've now given him his legal 30-day notice. Then I can send this to the shared mailbox to say, recommend disenrollment effective so-and-so for non-payment of dues. Flotilla commander signs it at least 30 days after the original signature. And at that point, as long as they don't pay dues for the rest, as long as we don't get a dues check, I'll be able to disenroll that person at the end of the year. Legally, if we don't have their signature saying I'm ready to go home now, then they paid for this year. So we disenroll them effective December 31st. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Actually, Leslie, this is Matt Smith. I have a quick question. When we're sending sort of like the final warning about like dues non-payment, do we need to send it like certified mail or return receipt just to kind of guarantee that we know the member really received it, or is regular mail okay?
I generally would just go with emails if I can, you know, I mean, send them the paper. If you can scan and email it, I like having a copy of everything I send, or have some sort of way of tracking it and proving that you did try to get it to them. Commodore Johnson, do you have any input on that? Nope, you're muted. Okay, we'll get a definitive answer and get it to you.
How about
Okay,
now?
oh, there we go. I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I could not find the unmute button anywhere when you have that document up there.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I would do. You know, you don't have to send it by certified mail. Make sure you mail it and email it. You do both, you know, and send an email saying, hey, I sent you this same document in the mail. Please make sure you fill it out as appropriate. Pay your dues. We don't want to lose you. Something like that. But there's no requirement that it be sent by certified mail.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and the 7056 member transfer request. If a member decides they want to transfer, they're going to fill in one of these forms. Hopefully they will get the right button as to whether it's within current district or outside of current district. Member number to flotilla commander. And that is really nice if they will put, if they want to put a name on it, it's great, but it's really helpful if they put a flotilla number on there, because it's a lot easier than trying to play guessing games as to who the flotilla commander is for one of 62 flotillas. So I state your name, desire to transfer to flotilla whatever, and effective such and such a date. I have accounted for all auxiliary property. That member is going to sign that, okay? Flotilla commander does not have to sign this. Flotilla commander does not have to recommend approval. Flotilla commander does need to sign it. Flotilla commander is not the approving authority on this, is what I was trying to say. If you don't have any problems with them going, if all is good to go and they've turned in their gear and their name is not on your bank account, any of that, you sign it. I'm going to take it from you, forward it to the receiving flotilla commander, who is generally going to recommend approval. He or she is going to sign it, send it back to me, and then I will transfer them. Okay. If you do not recommend approval, you make some statements to that effect. You sign it, and then the director, whether the losing flotilla commander or the gaining flotilla commander, either one, state your reasons for recommending or not recommending approval, or state reasons for not recommending, and then it's it's the director's decision. She's got the final say as to whether the member's going to get transferred or not. So you're just making a recommendation. Okay, and as I mentioned, you want to make sure, especially if you're shutting down a flotilla, the flotilla commander wants to be the last one out the door, locking the doors, turning off the lights. Make sure you don't let your finance officer go while his or her name is still on the company, on the account. Things like that you need to be aware of if you're the unit leader. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of the forms that we've gone through, or any forms in general?
Leslie?
Yes. What's that?
Jim Pearson here. Regarding the transfer of property, if someone, for an example, Flotilla 410 in our division is depopulating, so people are going to be transferring out, do they need to turn in their equipment if they're operational qualified?
No, if they're staying with the auxiliary and staying in our district, then the gear just goes with them. They just need to take their I lost the number on the form. Anyway, their gear inventory sheet, the flotilla MA should have that. They should make sure that gets passed on to the new flotilla. But we're not going to collect gear and reissue it because somebody went, from one flotilla to the next.
Okay.
Now, if somebody's transferring out of our district or getting out of the auxiliary, then the gear needs to be collected by either that unit or the next unit up. Right now with COVID restrictions, it's challenging at best. We still need to ask that people comply with the COVID restrictions. So turning in gear, it may be putting it in a box and mailing it to the next hire in the chain or in your flotilla. It may end up just dropping it on somebody's front porch, as long as you've prearranged the drop. We need to be cognizant of the of COVID restrictions, but we do need to get the gear turned back in. So, and I happen to know that there's a whole garage full of it out in Arizona that they want to get me, but right now we're not allowed to deploy anybody to go get it or to have it brought out here. So right now we're kind of on hold on that.
Leslie, this is Matt Smith from D10. I have another question about the 7056 form.
Okay.
Do we have any recourse for I'll tell you the situation is that I have a member from District 13 who's trying to transfer down to the Lake Powell Page flotilla. And in April, I sent his flotilla commander the 7056 form, asking him to, go ahead and sign off and put it through the proper channels. And, we've never heard from the guy. And
okay.
So, is there anything that the member can do other than just trying to prod his old FC into action? Because we're just sort of sitting here. So actually tonight on the phone, I already sent the guy another email saying like, hey man, have you taken action on this? And I sent him the form again. So I'm hoping we'll hear something, but if the guy ignores it again, do we have any type of recourse where we can kind of through our way say, hey, D13, what about this member that's trying to come into D11? What's going on?
Yeah, I have an idea. Send it to me.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Send it to me. That's one of my jobs. Send it to me. I will send it to the director's office, who will then send it to, if I don't know about it, I can't track it.
Sure.
If I do know about it, I will track it.
Okay.
So
well, I'll give the guy another chance to respond to me. And then if in like a week or two, he doesn't respond, I will go ahead and forward you the 7057 for the transfer.
Well, I would appreciate just being copied on it, sooner rather than later.
Okay, sounds good.
Leslie,
go ahead.
And Chaffee here. Just to confirm, you may have already said this and I missed it. If a person has been in a certain number of years, I think it is 15, in order to submit for retirement rather than disenrollment. Is that the correct number of years to be eligible to retire?
It is 15 years, and rest assured, not be advised, rest assured that I can tell how long somebody's been in by looking at their member number. Okay, so if I see a 117 number come through, I know that they've been in 20, 22, 25 years. Okay, I don't care what the paper says. I am not going to just disenroll that person unless they're being sent away for cause. I will be retiring them. So, but also, when we have somebody come through at the 10-year mark and say they want to be retired, that's not happening. So we will keep an eye on it, and I will make sure anybody who's eligible for retirement will get retired status. Okay, so we kind of touched on it. We are still in phase one. I know that frustrating a lot of people, but as far as COVID and reconstitution and all that, we can still only do what is called upon in phase one. I suppose everybody knows by now that they relaxed the requirement for the proctor on the OXOP. So I've got there's probably about 15 of us who have finished our OXOP in the last couple of weeks. We have a form. We're working on getting those recognized and getting certificates and pins out to those folks. If you send something to me and to the shared mailbox, if you send something and you haven't either seen action on it in about 3 to 4 weeks, or if you haven't heard from me saying I'm working on it, if it just goes into the proverbial black hole and nobody ever sees or hears from it again, check to see if you really sent it to me, because I've had a couple of 3 situations recently where I found out that somebody thought that they sent transfer papers in a year ago, and nobody in either of the units tracked, kept track of it, and it was just written off to, I don't know, it went to the DAROX office somewhere and disappeared. Generally, if I get transfer paperwork, I'm generally pretty good at making it happen, or I will send you information as to why it can't happen. So if you don't hear something from me in about 6 weeks, or 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what the issue is, please check back. Maybe even if it's something that I can't get to right away, I will at least tell you we're still working on it, check's still in the mail, OxData is not cooperating, whatever the case. I will give you some sort of an input. I won't just leave you hanging, especially when something goes to the year mark, when and it's happened to a couple of different divisions. So at the moment, there is a lot of stuff in the division commander boxes in the office, and my thought is that my YN2 Ali Guerra, which none of you have ever even got a chance to meet yet, I'm thinking that we're just going to start putting individuals' stuff in envelopes and mailing it directly to them, rather than putting the stuff in a box and sending it to the division commander who keeps it in their garage, or to the flotilla commander who also keeps it in their garage. I think at this point, this has gone on long enough. I think we just need to start sending awards and recognition directly to the members. I'm not sure that I know, I would like to be able to info flotilla commanders, but I'm not sure how that's logistically going to work for me. So I'm doing the best that we can with with the limited resources in the office at the moment. So, okay, let me see. Okay, does anybody have any questions or anything I missed? I will, especially getting out through the end of the year, I'll be sending the activity lists quite often, hopefully no more than about 2 weeks in between. And by the 1st of November, I will have the list on, for any of you who've been around here, in the past. I'll show the whole list of dues statuses, whether people are paid, whether they're in danger of going away, whether I have a 70-35 for them, whether they owe us gear. Do the best I can to keep everybody appraised of that situation. So.
I got a question, ma'am. As far as the awards, if you send them out in the mail to the individuals, will we get a list of those individuals who get the awards so we can present them to them at the meetings?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. it's going to be challenging, but I'm going to try to do that. Do you want?
I think if we got a list of who's going to get the awards, we can actually, they get the award at their place, and we get a list of who's getting the awards, we can actually have something set up to present it at the meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're going with that. I'm just trying to figure out how I can make it all work. So I'll do the best I can. I mean, on actual awards, I mean, on OXOP and stuff like that, I will definitely be able, there's few enough of those that's absolutely doable. You will be made aware of who got stuff like that. As far as if I'm sending a certificate saying congratulate, the printout from NTC saying you completed BQC Chapter 7, I'm not going to be able to keep up with that and tell you that 150 people did BQC Chapter 3.
Right.
So yeah, but the major awards we can definitely get you copied on that. So.
Hey, Leslie, it's Robert.
Uh-huh.
That was exactly my point when I wrote in the chat is, see if we can get the list, at least to the flotilla commanders and division commanders for the awardees, just exactly for what you stated. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen a chat lately. There we go. Okay, let me see. Okay, good point, Mr. Ziegler. Would suggest verifying addresses before mailing. Last time the office sent him something, it was an address that he hadn't been in 2 years. Okay, absolutely. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that now that members have access to Oxdata 2, then it's incumbent upon them to make sure that their address and next of kin information, et cetera, is updated in Oxdata 2 to the best of their ability. Okay, so I will do everything I can to make sure that we're sending them to the current address in Oxdata. If you guys pass down that it's individual responsibility to make sure that we have the correct information. Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Good job, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
No problem.
Okay, so division commanders, be sure that you include what you learned this evening from Leslie and Commodore Johnson. Include that in your FELAs, which you should be arranging at this time. There was a lot of good pass downs, so we want to make sure it gets all the way down to the member level. Our next DELA session is tentatively scheduled for January 17th. You'll notice, remember that I told you last time, we're not having one next week. So the next meeting will be January 17th. And we're planning at this time to continue meeting on the third Sunday of the month for a series of presentations on leadership. I'll have more on that probably later on in November. And I'll send that information out. So unless anybody has any closing comments, we'll conclude our program.
Charlie, this is Randy. When's D-Train?
D-Train, if we have D-Train, it's scheduled for the weekend of March 19th through the 21st, if we have a D-Train.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think we had it scheduled, but all right.
Anything else?
I have one more comment. Unless we get a bunch more people signing up, we're going to do the last RMTCT 4-hour session for the year is going to be November 14th. I've got about 8 people on the waiting list right now. And so we're going to do one more session on Saturday, November 14th. And I will ask Commodore to get that up on the website, and we'll open up signups, and I will send an email tomorrow morning to the folks on the waiting list.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
you all.
Hi,
Night.
Eddie, Maurice, make sure you hang on, please.
Now, Rick, don't be too cruel. I'm going to go away now. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good
night, everyone. Good
night, everybody.
Chris,
Okay, how do I throw myself
Yeah.
out of here?
thank you very much for running that for me.
Not a problem.
Rick, did you want me to stay on?
Yes.
You wanted, yeah.
Okay.
Eddie, you can unmute.
All right, you got everybody.
All right. Charlie, you want to start?
Yeah. Gary, you're excused, Gary.
Yeah, he's gone.
There's a couple issues we wanted to discuss. One of them has to do with Division 12. Rick, you're closer to that than I am. Why don't you start?
Well, first of all, the election that's coming up on Monday, we got very, very late notice that it was going to be contested. We, Charlie and I and the Commodore were, had information that that was an uncontested election. And then on Friday, your division commander, Ron, informed me that, or was inquiring of me, will Charlie and I be there to run the election? And I'm going, yeah, but it's uncontested. It's a statement needs to be read, and there will be no voting. It's just assigning one vote and per candidate. Well, it got a little confusing. There were just a lot of things that didn't look right. I did a lot of investigation. Charlie and I had a lot of conversations on the phone, as did myself and Commodore Harshfield. That being said, you will have your election for 12-4 tomorrow for flotilla commander only. Okay? Your vice flotilla commander for 12-4 election needs to be postponed until your next meeting, which I'm assuming will be a month away. And because it's contested, we'll do it then. After lengthy discussion with Charlie and the feeling that we need to make sure that the member isn't getting cheated out of anything here, which it appears that based on everything that we saw, something got sent to the wrong email address or didn't get through, got whatever. Okay, the transfer didn't go through, and Aaron Harris wasn't put into 12-4. Now, that being said, your screening committee should have picked that up, right? Aren't they supposed to review everybody who self-nominates?
Yes, sir.
And it was pretty evident and easy for me to see that Mr. Harris was still assigned to 12-4-2. It's on Ox Directory and it's in Ox Data. Okay, so the screening committee for 12-4 kind of dropped the ball on this and could have saved all of us a lot of time had they seen this when he submitted his notice of candidacy for vice flotilla commander. Okay, so guys, you got to help us out with this. Maurice, I know you will be very diligent on this next year. Eddie, you're the flotilla commander of 12-4, right? And you're going to be vice.
Yes,
okay. You may want to just mention this to your screening committee and say, hey, you know, nobody's getting their butts chewed here. Okay. We're trying to pass along information to make stuff better. Okay. And the only person who got their butt chewed was me, because Commodore Harshfield didn't want to do this again.
Right.
But, you know, too bad. He owes me anyway. I've done a lot of favors and took on a lot of challenges for him the last 2 years. So anyway,
he did.
Eddie, smile. This is not this is okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any comments you want to make or anything?
Yes, I got a question. I got an email from the division commander, Ron Hecker, and he was saying that, okay, 12-7 is going to have their meeting at 18:30 and 12-4 is going to be 19:30.
Yep.
And it's going to be on Zoom. How do I do that for both?
Well, first of all, you need to have the 2 different Zoom accounts that whoever's hosting those meetings. Okay. I'm going to be at that one at 18:30 as well as the one at 19:30. Commodore Harshfield is going to officiate the election for 12-4 at 19:30.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what you would have to do, Maurice, is you would have to have 2 computers to go to 2 separate meetings. You can't do it on one computer.
Okay.
I've tried. I do have 2 computers, so I logged on one on my laptop and one on my desktop.
Yeah.
But in order to go to both of them, you're going to need 2 computers. You could do one as your cell phone and one as your computer too.
I'm in my office. I got like 4 computers in there.
Okay. Okay. Well, so you can do that then, but that's the only way to accomplish it.
Okay.
All right.
Maurice, more importantly, and Eddie, what we need are, I need the link information to the 12-7 and the link information to the 12-4.
I sent the link out to 12-4 along with that sample of the email or the election email that they're going to get, Rick.
Okay.
Because I have to host the Zoom meeting because it has to.
Okay.
The election has to. So that you got the other day. Did you get that, Eddie?
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay.
I got it. 12.
Yeah, we're all on the same link here, or I'll be chasing people around in Zoom land trying to find you. And by the way, just let you know, Eddie, your flotilla commander election has launched. Right on schedule, right at 1900. So it is open right now, and your members can vote anytime up until I stop the election 15 minutes or so into your meeting. So. Okay.
Loud and clear, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Anyway,
I will
I'm going to
be
need the links. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll send it to you. When we get done, I'll send you the link. I will be the moderator. I am not the presiding officer in this. That will be the
12-4. It'll be Eddie.
Okay. All right. So, which means that you'll be the one that'll fill out the paperwork, get it in the day after the meeting at the latest. The quicker we get these things submitted and get them in, the quicker it's official. So
send that paperwork to me, Eddie, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, sir.
All the certificates of election are to go to the DCAPs.
Okay.
Okay, and they are on the breaking news page of the website if you need to download a copy to send it out.
So I'm sorry. So I send that directly to you. I do not send it. Do I send a copy to Ron Hecker?
You can. That's up to you. But it needs to come to me I'll review it. If everything is there, it's fine. If it's missing something, I'll just shoot you an email back and let you know what it's missing. Okay. Sometimes they come through and the names of the screening committee aren't there, or the chairman of the screening committee didn't sign it, you know, something like that. So
loud and clear.
That's send it to me, copy Ron if you like. That's fine. And
no problem.
Maurice, can you send me the link to 12.7?
Yes, I haven't set it up yet, but I can do that.
When you get it done, just send it to me. That way I make sure I'm there.
Okay. I'll set it up.
You know,
go ahead, Eddie.
I sent a request for Mr. Whitaker, but I haven't heard from him. I'm not sure, he may be out of town, but I kindly requested for him to make sure he is present tomorrow night, as Mr. Whitaker, Charles, and Adrian, they're part of the committee. But I haven't heard from Mr. Whitaker, so that's my only concern right now, present time.
Okay, because it is an electronic election, he does not need to be present to the meeting because it is online. So he doesn't need to be present. It's nice if they are, but he doesn't need to be.
Okay, thank you. Loud and clear.
So,
Charlie?
I've got a question for Eddie. Eddie, so you've got the letter of intent from Aaron Harris, right?
Yes, sir, I do. Unfortunately, Charles, which is doing a great job, by the way, he failed to notify that to me, so I can notify that to Ron Hecker, so Ron Hecker can notify that to the District Captain Rick Abel. So something happened along the way, but the minute I found out, I mentioned it to Ron Hecker right away. So the answer is yes.
You do have a copy of Aaron Harris's email.
I do, sir.
What do you recall off the top of your head? What was the date of that email?
No, sir, but I can look for it. If you want me to send you a copy of that, I can be more happy to do that.
Yeah, please locate a copy of that and send it to Rick.
I will do that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Anybody?
No.
Charlie,
Oh, no, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I had one quick question. I have 3 flotilla elections tomorrow. I was planning to do 12-4, 12-7, and 7-3, but 7-3 is at the same time as the others. I can just have Rudy attend that one if you want.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I plan on attending 12-4 tomorrow. And so if you can do, yeah, that'd be good. Rudy can do 7-3. And I don't think we need anybody at Division 1 since it's not an election.
Okay.
Right, Commodore, are you going to attend Division 1?
No, because I'm going to be doing 12-4.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good idea, Mike. Have Rudy take care of 7-3.
Okay, and then I'll need the links for both 7 or 12-4 and 12-7.
Okay, sir, I'll take care of it. I'll send it to you.
All right.
Yeah, I'll need that as well. Okay, anything else?
I had a question, sir. Charlie Gagger, sir. Did you send a video for leadership? There was a video that you showed at one of the dealer classes on leadership. And I think it was the first class. I want to know if we can get a copy of it, if I can get a copy of that.
I did, and I think Commodore Harshfield sent out the YouTube link for that.
Oh, okay. I'll take a look.
I'll look for it. I have it. I'll look for it and I'll send it to you, Maurice.
Oh, thank you, sir. I seen the one about the mouth and something about people arguing how to conflict resolution type situation. I got that one. That was pretty interesting.
Oh, that's the one that your favorite one, Charlie.
Yeah, I seen that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
There's another good one that Admiral. I can't remember his last name. He was the special spec op commander for the SEALs. McCraven, Admiral McCraven. Why do I make my bed every day? Look it up. There's two versions. There's a long version, which is where he gives the commencement speech to Texas A&M. That is phenomenal. It's about 30 minutes, but it's very inspirational. But he has a 5-minute one. Why do you make your bed every day when you get up?
I have it. I'm really happy to forward that.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, when everything else has gone to crap, at least you got a bed that you can climb in that's ready to go. But there's just a whole analogy on it, but it's Admiral McCraven. They're phenomenal to watch and to give out, at meetings. I mean, we actually kind of stole that idea from Boz. There's a lot of those little 5-minute clip things. TED TV is a great one. Just short little things. It's great for meetings, flotilla meetings, division meetings. So anyway. All right.
I don't have anything else. You know what, Maurice, if you can, any other elections you guys have in Division 12, can you just verify their dates and times and anybody who's running, just so we know now whether or not it's contested.
Right. The instant it's contested, we need to be notified. Even if they're still going through the vetting process, we need to notify, because I can't pull a rabbit out of my hat because my hat's not deep enough. So, but anyway. All right.
Loud and clear, sir.
I just hate begging the Commodore to do something.
Oh, he loves sitting crooked after I've gnawed on him for about a half hour.
I'm sorry, Eddie, you were going to say.
It grows back before the next time he calls me.
Eddie, you wanted to say, you were saying something?
No, I mean, I'm sorry. It's loud and clear. We won't let you down next time. Maurice and I, we are going to follow up and make you proud.
You know what, Eddie? I don't think anybody got let down here. I just think it kind of got lost in all this whole process. I'm glad we were able to fix it. And please let Mr. Harris know he will be running. Okay.
Well, I thank you for extending that opportunity to him and all my members. As I encourage that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Charlie just really made an effort to make sure that we weren't going to keep a member who had a right to run for an elected office, to keep him from running. And up until I don't know, what was it, this morning, Charlie?
Yep, this morning.
We everything that we, not everything, but the last thing that we had was the fact that he was still in 1242. Yeah. And once we reviewed the transfer notice, I saw your emails, Maurice, because you did 2 of them. I don't know what happened with those.
I think what happened was with Keith Green's, the email was correct, and I think with Aaron Harris's, the email might have missed the letter to the IROC's box. I looked at that yesterday, and I was like, wait a minute. There's lowercase for Aaron Harris, I believe, and there was uppercase for Keith Green. I think that's the reason why it didn't go through.
So, but once we got it figured out, we saw your emails. This was no fault of Aaron Harris, and the right thing for us to do was to clear him and let him run. We just need to postpone the vice flotilla commander election till your next meeting. That's all. It was too late to get it added to the current election software, so we'll get it done.
Thank you for that. Much appreciated.
All right.
Hey guys, have a good evening.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Mike, stay on.
You got it.
All right, Eddie, Maurice, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.